পৰামৰ্শ আপোনালোক জানে চাগে ইণ্ডাষ্ট্ৰি ৰিলেটেড সেইখিনি কৰি পেলাই আপোনাৰ যদি ডেভেলপ কৰে আই হোপ এইটো আপোনালোকৰ কথা দেই এইটো ইট ইজ এভৰিথিং ইজ লাইজ অন ইউ ইট ডাজন্ট ইউ কেনট ব্লেম ইউৰ এডুকেশ্যন ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যন ইউৰ মেণ্টৰ্ছ ইউৰ প্ৰফেচাৰ্ছ ultimately it is you who have to make the change. I think with this I should close this because if you speak long then people will get confused. They have to be very strategic, they have to be very straightforward and they should come forward. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you, Pranjal sir. Pranjal sir, if you can mute your mic.
Yes. Can you go? আপনি মিউট করে দিবেন এবার
হয় সম কৰি তো হোৱা নাই so if you can mute yourself once
আমরা চেক করে লেছি রব একটু রেসপন্ডেন্ট একবার
sir we are from respond নাই
হ্যাঁ এবাৰ এই
sir I do one thing sir সেশনৰ পৰা আপোনাক এটা ওলাই দিছো আপুনি আকৌ সোমাওকচোন sir লিংক এটো তেতিয়া আপুনি মিউট কৰিব পাৰিব hello Pranjal sir I believe Pranjal sir to mute হৈ গৈছে nevertheless technicalities technical disturbance to হৈ থাকিব but our main agenda is to progress to gather knowledge I remember an episode of the movie Three Idiots কৈছিলে যে জ্ঞান कहीं से भी मिल लो बटर लो so the knowledge which you are getting which we are getting from these people such as Pranjal Fukan such as people like Bonajit Hussain we must gather it and we must implement it in our daily life so as to progress so with that thought now we should move on to the second session the second session Bonajit Hussain sir has been requested before that Sujata ma'am or anybody from the college would like to introduce sir I believe there is none.
Hello.
So me. Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Your name here is Cinema and More. Who is this, please, if I may?
No, I was like unable to connect. No, I'm doing this recording. That's why I have to enter in.
Okay. No,
so okay. Yeah. Sorry for that. So already actually Principal Sir has introduced Bonajit Hussain. I think he has already spoken about him. So he is an independent researcher. He's a political commentator and also he's now literally busy farming in his village. I think it's on cooperative basis. So already Principal Sir had mentioned that yes, Bonajit Hussain, when he was in South Korea, he played a historical role in the fight against racism and discrimination against outsiders in South Korea, as he faced racist remark from some of the locals, and he filed a case seeking justice, and he did own the case. He did win the case, and a judgment against racism for the first time in South Korea was passed in favor of him. So it became an international news during that time in I think 2009. So he did that when he was working as a research professor in Sungkong Ho University. So I am welcoming him on behalf of our department, on behalf of our college. So over to you, Deepsekhar, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the introduction. So without wasting any further time, I would request Bonajit Hussain sir to unmute his mic and both audio, video and speak. Sir, you are there?
Yep.
Okay,
Uh,
sir. Please continue.
am I? Yeah.
Over
Am
to
I
you.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'd like to thank Puthimari College and ICT Academy. Uh, I'd also like to thank everyone present, Principal Shah, my co-panelist, Dr. Pranjal Fukan. When I was asked to be a panelist in this, I was a bit confused. What would I say? But then, okay, let me try. Dr. Fukan has already given a general scenario of what would be the challenges in the post-COVID era, and also he has given some indications to how we might have to overcome those challenges. But I would like to kind of specifically talk about my field of area for past 2 years, which is agriculture. I am trained as a historian and a sociologist. And I've also been an activist, which Principal Sir mentioned in his introduction. I've been an activist. I've been involved with various kinds of social movements for past almost 20 years. But as I mentioned, 2 years ago, I quit my job and I started farming. So maybe I'll kind of specifically talk about agriculture because usually we don't think about agriculture as a career prospect, or there is, especially in the urban society, so to say, there is a dignity deficiency as far as agriculture is concerned. I mean, it's considered to be a menial work, not respectable, and things like that. So I'll focus on that. And it won't be kind of what I would be saying, it won't be kind of, individual advices or things like that, but I'll try to give a general picture of farming in Assam and what are the possibilities in the post-COVID situation. So one thing we know that we don't know how the post-COVID world will look like. Definitely there'll be a post-COVID world. Life will continue. I mean, this is not the first pandemic, global pandemic that has happened in the history of the humanity. We know that the last global pandemic was the Spanish flu in 1919, immediately after the First World War. And human society, human civilization did overcome that. But we are in a different era now. So we simply can't, we can learn lessons from history, which is very important, but we don't know what kind of challenges will throw up, what kind of challenges this particular pandemic will throw up. So I'll kind of, let's say, how would post-COVID Assam look like? We have certain indications. We are probably moving towards a massive unemployment, rise of unemployment. The Chief Minister of Assam recently, I mean, during the, I think the second phase of the lockdown, constituted a high-powered task force, economic task force, which had some reputable economists and retired bureaucrats in it. Within a month's time, they submitted a report, and one of the most scary thing that the report said was that in Assam we might be heading towards 54% unemployment rate, which is massive. So we have certain indications that the immediate future is going to be quite bleak, quite bleak. It might sound a bit bad, but the reality is that currently the labor force that is absorbed within the industry are mostly low-paying jobs. Even like, you know, you work in a BPO, you will probably, I mean, even before this pandemic, you would have probably earned 8,000 rupees or 7,000 rupees a month. Post-COVID, there'll be huge shrinking of employment opportunity, so probably the wages will go down. So we are in a bleak, at least the near future will be quite bleak, full of challenges, and we don't know how to overcome it. But as and when the challenges come, we as a society, I'm sure, will overcome it. In this bleak scenario, where does agriculture fit in? I'll try to focus on that. আমি প্ৰায় শুনি থাকো যে অসম কৃষি নিৰ্ভৰশীল ৰাজ্য বুলি কোৱা হয়, কিন্তু আচলতে আমি যদি চাওঁ অসমৰ কৃষি জগতখন যদি আমি চাওঁ, চালে আমি দেখো যে আমি আচলতে কৃষি নিৰ্ভৰশীল নহয়. We are not sustainable in agriculture right now. Assam produces only 50% of its horticultural products, like vegetables and fruits. Baki 50% বহিৰাজ্যৰ পৰা আহে, বেংগলৰ পৰা আহে, বিহাৰৰ পৰা আহে, মেঘালয়ৰ পৰা আহে. আগতে মেঘালয়ৰ পৰা বেছি আহিছিল, এতিয়া বেংগলৰ ইম্পৰ্ট শ্বেয়াৰ বাঢ়িছে. এতিয়া আপুনি যি তৰি তৰকাৰী গুৱাহাটী চহৰত খাই আছে, এইবোৰ গোটেই বেংগল আৰু মেঘালয়ৰ পৰা আহি আছে. এতিয়া আমাৰ ইয়াতে তৰি তৰকাৰীৰ উৎপাদন, আমাৰ যিখিনি প্ৰয়োজন, আমাৰ যিখিনি ডিমাণ্ড, এণ্ড দিজ আৰ এচেঞ্চিয়েল আইটেমছ, আমাৰ যিখিনি ডিমাণ্ড তাৰে আমি মাত্ৰ 50%হে পূৰণ কৰোঁ. আৰু এতিয়া আপোনাৰ ধান ৰোৱা বতৰ, ময়ো ধান ৰুই আছো এতিয়া. কিন্তু আচৰিত কথা এইটো, আপুনি ইনভলভ হলে গম পাব যে অসমৰ ৰুৰেল জনতাই বেছিভাগ কৃষিৰ লগত জড়িত. বাই দ্য ৱে, 84.5% population of Assam lives in the rural areas. So, এতিয়া যে ধান ৰুই আছে, আপুনি যদি একচুৱেলি এটা ইকনমিক এনালিচিছ কৰে, মানুহে প্ৰতি বিঘা 1,000 টকা লছ কৰি পেলাই খেতি কৰি আছে. কিয় 1,000 টকা লছ কৰি খেতি কৰি আছে? কাৰণ আমাৰ again, the agricultural technology is not just, machineries. Technology is, in agriculture, technology is like how you plant the sapling. And agriculture is like any other science. Every 6 months, there are some research improvement that is done. We have some global research institutes, massive research institutes. We have like the International Rice Research Institute based in Manila in Philippines. Similarly, we have a UN organization which deals with food security and also technology, agricultural technology. So in Assam, the agricultural technologies have not improved or have not been updated since the time of the first green revolution in India, which is late 60s and early 70s. 60ৰ দশক আৰু 70ৰ দশকৰ পৰা অসমত কৃষি ৰিলেটেড একো টেকনলজিকেল ডেভেলপমেন্ট হোৱা নাই। আমি যেনেকে যিবোৰ জানো সৰুৰ পৰা দেখি আহি আছো যে এতিয়া ধান ৰোৱা বতৰ, এমাহ আগতে বা 1.5 মাহ আগতে মানুহে কঠীয়া পাৰিছিল, এতিয়া কঠীয়া তুলি আছে, তুলি ৰুই আছে। whereas আৰু প্ৰতি বিঘা আপোনাৰ প্ৰডাকশন কিমান হয় অসমত? প্ৰতি বিঘা যদি 12 মোন, 1 mound is 40 kgs, মাউণ্ডত ক্যালকুলেট কৰা হয়, যুগ যুগান্তৰৰ পৰা চলি আহি আছে মাউণ্ডত ক্যালকুলেট কৰে। প্ৰতি বিঘা আমাৰ ইয়াতে উৎপাদন যদি 12 মোন হয়, 12 মোন হলে 480 কিলো, 480 কিলো ধান যদি উৎপাদন হয় তেনেহলে অতি উৎকৃষ্ট উৎপাদন বুলি ভবা হয়। সাধাৰণতে 7 মোনৰ পৰা 8 মোনলৈ উৎপাদন হয়। 7 মোন আৰু 8 মোন আপোনাৰ যেতিয়া আপুনি যদি সেইখিনি মাৰ্কেটত তাৰ প্ৰাইস ৰিয়েলাইজেশন কৰে 500 টকাকে মোন পোৱা যায়। গতিকে আপোনাৰ 8 মোনত 4000 টকা হ'ল, কিন্তু এবিঘা ধান ৰুওঁতে 5000তকৈ কম খৰচ নহয়। গতিকে similarly with vegetables, আমাৰ ইয়াতে আপোনাৰ vegetable farming has always been at the subsistence level. বাৰীত কেইডালমান জিকা ৰোৱা যায়, তিয়ঁহ ৰোৱা যায়, ভাতকেৰেলা ৰোৱা যায়। তাৰে যিখিনি এক্সেস প্ৰডাকশন হয়, এক্সেস প্ৰডাকশন মানে আপোনাৰ সপ্তাহত 5 কিলো, সেইখিনি গধূলি বজাৰলৈ নিয়া হয়, নি তাতে ক'বাত 100 টকা এটা উপাৰ্জন হয়। কমাৰ্শিয়েল ভিত্তিত অসমত আপোনাৰ কৃষি এতিয়ালৈ খুব কম ঠাইত আৰম্ভ হৈছে। Historically, if we see, commercial horticultural farming has happened only in quote-unquote immigrant areas, people who came from East Bengal during the colonial times. সেই অঞ্চল, সেইকাৰণে আমি শুনো গুৱাহাটীত বজাৰত গ'লে শুনিব যে এইটো বৰপেটাৰ প্ৰডাক্ট, এইটো খাৰুপেটীয়াৰ প্ৰডাক্ট। আপুনি এইটো নুশুনিব যে এইটো গোলাঘাটৰ প্ৰডাক্ট বা এইটো নলবাৰীৰ প্ৰডাক্ট। That is a fact. Whereas we have a huge potential for commercial agricultural farming. And agriculture is not rocket science. বিশেষকে যদি শিক্ষিত যুৱক এগ্ৰিকালচাৰত যদি ইনভলভ হয়, then they bring in new set of knowledge. They do research. আজিকালি, I mean, this is happening in collaboration with ITC. I mean, information technology can play a huge role in agriculture. Like I use an app called Plantix, which has been developed. It's a kind of multi-governmental initiative, and the research was done by International Rice Research Institute, and they launched this app in collaboration with mostly African governments. It's an amazing app. মই কৃষি বিভাগক সুধিব যাব নালাগে মোৰ গছৰ কি বেমাৰ হৈছে। I just use my smartphone, and they have a database of 2 crore pests and diseases. I upload the photo, and within 10 seconds, I get all the recommendations, both organic recommendation and inorganic recommendation. If you're an organic farmer, they'll recommend you what are the organic ways to deal with that. And if you're an inorganic farmer, then they will recommend you what pest is this, what kind of chemicals or pesticides you need to use. There are apps available which help you in climate resilient farming. Like we are in the era of climate change. বিশেষকে অসমৰ দৰে ঠাইত য'ত এতিয়া আগৰ পৰাই বানপানী এটা ডাঙৰ সমস্যা, আৰু এতিয়া with lots of dams being built in Bhutan and within Assam, now we have artificial floods all the time. And even in that, technology plays a great role. So like high value horticultural farming is a lucrative opportunity, and especially like social geography term eta ase green field mane unexplored field. Unexplored, this is an unexplored area because you know, commercialization never happened. Commercialization of agriculture has not happened in Assam. Aru, interestingly, since I am in the network, now in almost every district you will find 10 to 15 educated youth who have come to agriculture, and they are doing amazing work, amazing work. You go to Gwalpara district, you will meet Debabrot Rabha, who has revolutionized banana farming in Assam. Banana was never considered to be a commercial farming thing. Kol gos amar barit thake, khalor parot thake, kol lage. Kintu he revolutionized it. Now they are doing banana farming near Dudhnoi in 400 bighas of land. Again in Gwalpara, you have Upen Rabha, who has introduced black rice, which is lucrative. I mean, his black rice goes to you know, Europe and everywhere. Tata Group across the world, wherever they have hotels, their black rice they use for making pudding goes directly from Upen Rabha's cooperative, from Gwalpara. You will be amazed to hear that. Then we have people like Neelam Dotto and Debabrot Rabha who has done amazing work in organic farming in Biswanath Chariali. আজিকালি গুৱাহাটীত আপোনালোকে জানে, আপোনালোকে সীতা জখলাৰ দৈ আৰু গাখীৰ খায়. You know, people who are involved, the main man behind Sita Jokhala is Pushpadhar Das, who is an IIM graduate. He quit his job due to various reasons. He came back to Assam. He started farming in Boroma. Now he has started concentrating in dairy farming, and Sita Jokhala is gradually throwing out all other. Agote amar gakhir apunar Biharor porao aisil, packaged milk. Amar local eta asil Purobi. Now Sita Jokhala has taken over the market, and who is behind it? IIM graduate. How? He has introduced, I mean, Ranjit Sharma ase, Pushpadhar Das involved ase. Tekhetokole apunar modern technology involved korise. They are educated. They know how to do research. They know how to design a farm. They know how to go forward. They know how to deal with the challenges by use of technology. And mine is a very small initiative, and I am also trying to do that. I am trying to introduce more gaon pora. Moi eta Nolbari gaon khonot bohi asu. More gaon pora apunar Guwahati, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Goa. Eneke jodi ami hisab eta logao, out of 67 households, there are around 75 youth who were working in, you know, small factories in Guwahati, in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, in Goa. They've all come back. They've all come back. Now they are confused what they will do. For past 2 years, I've been trying to work with some of the youths in my village. I'm introducing new technologies. It's difficult because since childhood, they have seen certain kind of farming. And over a period of 2 years' time, now I see that their attitude has changed, because we do farming in a very modern way. I mean, I use solar power. I do rice plantation in winter also. I do horticultural farming. I have a small papaya farm of 400 plants. Now next year I am planning to start a biofloc fishery, which requires a very small amount of land, and it's basically you do it in a tank where you measure. The main thing is you constantly monitor the pH level of the water. You constantly monitor the oxygen level of the water. And fishery ki hoy apunar maximum input fish feed, fishor masor khaidot sobotke beshi khoros kora hoy. Biofloc technology, which started in Israel, the biofloc technology, the interesting aspect is that you have to introduce a probiotic bacteria in the water. Masor jibur mol ase, goo ittadi, hey probiotic bacteria acts upon the excreta of the fish and turns it into fish feed. Can you imagine? So it's a self-sustaining, and you need just kind of apunar 2 bigha pukurit apuni jiman fish production kore annually, ইয়াতে 10,000 liters or দুটা ট্যাঙ্কত তাতকে 2 গুণ আপুনি production কৰিব পাৰে. আপোনাৰ cost cutting is massive because the bacteria you introduce is turning the fish excreta into fish feed. Can you imagine? So I think in the post-COVID kind of situation, which is going to be really bleak in the beginning, I have said, I mean, we are looking at 54-55% unemployment rate. Farming, may it be pisciculture, which is fishery, may it be horticulture, or may it be high-level horticultural produce like strawberry, like dragon fruit. Already some educated youths have started those things in Assam. If more and more educated youth come and revolutionize the agricultural sector in Assam, this is not only going to, give a major boost to the economy of Assam, it is also going to change the rural socio-economic scenario. So this is, what I am saying is that this is not just for our sake, but this is also for the sake of our state, where 84.5% population lives in rural area. I think সময় মই অলপ বেছি লৈ আছো, আৰু মই ক্ষমা খুজিছো, মোৰ এটা বেলেগ প্ৰব্লেম এটা আছে। ৰাতিপুৱা 5টা বজাৰ পৰা লাইট নাই, so my phone battery is running out. গতিকে মোৰ ফোনটো বন্ধও হৈ যাব পাৰে। I'll try and get another phone from a friend and then reconnect with you during the discussion. So I'll stop here. Maybe during the discussion we can take up some of the things I've said. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those insights from your experience, insight from your studies, where we stand and what we can do. Ultimately, our zeal, our knowledge kamota hai. So kheti kora is okay, but with new thought process, with a new thinking line, if we do something, it may be in agriculture, maybe any kind of entrepreneurship. So my agote kisuman webinar koisu, before being an entrepreneur we should be an ideapreneur. Ideas bilak ahe, ideas bilak channelize koribo lage, aru people like Bonojit Hussain, people like our speakers sir, so we should consult them. So please, speaker like Pranjal Phukan sir, so we should consult them because they will act as a mentor to channelize our ideas, to channelize our thought process, to filter it. Ultimately sabore manot kiba na kiba ahe, kiba ta korim, but filtration to dorkar hoy, channelization to dorkar hoy. Karon kyo? Because some may be viable, some may not be viable. Hoy aru Bonojit sir kisuman examples bilak dile, teneke Pabhoi Bishnath Sarali pora eta example dile, eta example dile Sita Jahola. So in both these I have visited, I have made my own studies, I have been with them. So I know what they have done and I have seen firsthand. So I suggest ইয়াৰ পিছত যদি ক'ৰবাত ফুৰিব যায় এই দুটা জায়গালৈ যাওক, শিকিব পাৰে, because ultimately শিকাটো দৰকাৰ হয়। আৰু these people have revolutionized, truly Bonojit sir has said, these people have revolutionized the idea. And the person who was, Bonojit sir has mentioned the person from IIM, who is the brain behind Sita Jahola. Probably a few years back, government had proposed an idea of lateral entry into to IAS officers, lateral entry to UPSC. So the gentleman was considered to be the first person from Northeast as lateral entry to UPSC. So with this thought, I would like to progress to the next part of the session. That is, if there is an observation by principal sir, I would like his help. Principal sir, যদি আপনি আসেন, okay, over to you, sir.
Yes, yes. So, thank you, Deepsekhar, for conducting efficiently this webinar. I must thank Mr. Pranjal Kumar Phukan that he has addressed to our gatherings, and we are greatly benefited by you, sir. Because as you know, you have said already that you have been associated with in other field also, in other places also. We need this kind of resource, and we will become a resource for our college also, for our faculties, our students also. I would like to request our faculty and students to have your number, your connection through Deepsekhar, so that we can contact you later on also. Thank you, sir, for this. We have been greatly benefited. And so far as the lecture of the Bonazit Hussain is concerned, we have seen how he has been a professor in South Korea, and he studied in Delhi University. Still, he is not. He has been associated with agriculture. Agriculture in a new dimension. As after Green Revolution, the agriculture has been most neglected area, which is our primary area. We think that when we think of the career, we think of the IT, we think of the computers, we think of other things, but we don't think of the agriculture. So he has very efficiently said that how it can be beneficial to us, and being a country like ours and being a region like Assam, if our students, after completing their study and research, if they get involved in themselves in agriculture, how it can be turned into an industry, how it can be beneficial to the people, how it could be a career option also. Can be a career alternatives also. So I thank Bonazit Hussain for giving us a light on this aspect. And I would like to say that his father, Haider Hussain, I must mention that he is the he was the chief editor of Protidin. So their family is mostly related with the public works, and Bonazit Hussain, which truly held a spirit to help the people. I have seen in many a times he also associated with the labor movement also. And I have found him in many meetings, and he has been organizing here in Guwahati also. So I thank Mr. Bonazit Hussain, and I would like to request him to have a contact with our college faculties. And I must appreciate the Department of Political Science, particularly the head of the department, Devanand Sharma and Sujata Hati Borua, for inviting these people and for organizing this seminar. I thank them all for undertaking the troubles to organize all these things. So hopefully I thank also the participants also. Now the participant now here is in 183 participants are hearing these lectures. I think that your participation has made us encouraged. We'll be organizing such things again later on, and our college will be very much committed to this kind of discussion. Only that if the faculties are equipped with these ideas, equipped with this thinking, they can percolate to the students. So as a teaching community, our duty, our commitment is to our students rather being to our subject. We can have research. We must have a greater commitment to the students. So our ideas could be translated through the students also, only. So I request our faculty members to be equipped with all these ideas and percolate the same to the students. So I thank to the department, I thank to the ICT, and I also thank to the participants being here in this webinar. So that is what my observation was there. We are greatly benefited. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Deepsekhar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for those encouraging words. Next in our agenda is interaction. So this is one of our prime focus, because whatever we preach, whatever we may tell, ultimately should be entertained, should be knowledgeable, should be effective to the participants. So with that thought in mind, I would like to open the session for interaction. The first question has come for the interaction. I would encourage to those participants who have a question in mind to write the question in the chat window, so that I can disseminate this question to our speakers. So the first question is Pranjal sir, your mic is on.
No, I have unmuted.
Yes. Okay. So the first question is to Pranjal sir. It's from Niharika Das. Her question is, will academic knowledge and courses be less encouraged as because of the pandemic, work from home culture and technical knowledge is becoming a good alternative? The question here is, Pranjal sir, if you are hearing the question, I would like you to unmute yourself and talk.
Yeah. Yeah, my question is, my answer is like knowledge is obviously required because everything is based on knowledge. So, like you have to understand like how you will introspect yourself. You have to introspect yourself with the knowledge. Knowledge, not only the knowledge which you are getting from the college, but the knowledge you are getting from your culture, from your society, your community, your parents, okay, your relatives. So these are all knowledge. Now you have to just know which knowledge is required at this moment to introspect yourself, so that you can adjust or adapt yourself to the present situations or the situation which will be coming up. So obviously knowledge is required. So your academic qualifications, your experience is very much required. Industry, I'm not saying that any industry or any job market is going out of the market because this knowledge is not required at that moment or at this moment. It will be required, but there will be some changes. There will be some modifications may happen. There may be some alterations may happen. So what are the things that may happen in your field of study or domain of study that you have to understand, that you have to consult. That is my point.
Thank you, sir. Here is another question to you.
Yeah.
The question here is from Deepanita Bose Saha. Her question is, we know the MSMEs contribute largely to the employment of the Indian economy. Of late, it was in the news MSMEs of India had a prospect of getting 1 billion from World Bank. So in this slide, can you please highlight what can be done by the MSMEs to survive and grow in the upcoming days?
See, MSME contributes around, you can say, 40 to 50% in Indian GDP. Okay, that is based on the study. Now, MSME, what is MSME? First, you have to understand these are basically micros and small enterprises. Now, medium enterprises also comes into play. As per new definition, the threshold limit or the turnover limit has been increased by 20 to 25 times, so that they can avail loans from the banks based on their turnovers. Now, how MSME will change the economy or they will help in supporting the economy is, our country cannot sustain on a particular type of business. So we have to go for a multivarious type of business, the business which are run by corporations, which are run by the government, and which are also run by the people from the society itself. So there's also one more concept coming up now, which will be, I think, coming to picture by the government, that called tiny sectors, means micro, small, medium, and tiny sectors, the sectors which are basically from the family-owned business. See, my concept here is we are not supposed to think on where to get the loans, because our culture of getting loans and subsidy has really hampered the flow of the economic or industrializations for the last so many years. So what government is feeling that all MSMEs and tiny sectors, when it come up, should be Atmanirbhar. Atmanirbhar means self-independent, irrespective of the supports they may or they may not get from the government. but they should think, they should be now vocal, means think global, but they have to act locally, which I am also propagating every time, that first and foremost important thing in our economy now is we need niche industries, the industries which are very small, developed from the entrepreneurs, and that industry can only support the other entrepreneurs, so that a cumulative effort is going at the grassroots level, which will come up to sometime like micro, and it will go to small, then become medium, then become big. So that way you have to first take your effort, which Deepsekhar already told. The first thing is like you should know what is correct and what is not correct, and based on the ideations and all these things, we are having many platforms to discuss which are relevant, which are not relevant, and then only you should go for the funding as as a alternate step. But you should think of like how to propagate this idea so that other interested persons or companies or institutions are ready to incubate you with all full support funded by the government, unless and until it becomes viable for commercialization. At that point of time you'll feel, as already Mr. Bonojit has told, how these people for like banana, black rice, these are doing. Are they thinking for the fund first, or they are thinking for the incubation or their ideas first? So that has to be first in your mind. Don't just think idle for that where I will get the fund and market. These things are already being in the policy. First you have to make yourself sustainable for this particular aspect, whether I am true or I am ready for this, or whether I can do this, whether I am doing this because someone has told me to do so, whether I am passionate about it. You have to be aspirational. Then I think the answer is very clear, whether you are getting loan or not. But we know where there is the will, there is the way. So I think it is very clear to everyone present in this seminar.
Thank you, sir. One more question is from Marsina Hameda ma'am. Question is how much is it easier? How much it is easier or difficult for government to spread new direction of government to reach each corner of the country?
It is not at all difficult for the government, because our government is multi-layered now. So you should not think that central government will come into picture of state government. Yeah, the multi-layered means up to panchayat level is also there. So government is empowering now. They're empowering the citizens is the first policy of the government. So our government is obviously is a democratic, where we are making the government. Government is for ours only. So first of all, you have to take the initiative, and all the policies which are on the papers is the responsibility of every citizen to make it down to the community through the effort, and obviously lots of supports are there from the other industry bodies also. So only thing is like don't. One more thing I want to just tell you in this webinar, that don't think too much what you cannot do. Think only those things what you can do, and do first, and others will follow you. That is the question. That is the thing. Which, if you take the example of successful businessmen around the globe, also in India, like Infosys and all this, you'll find that they have done only those things which they can do. They are not wasting their time on the things they can't do, because in that way, or if all people are getting involved in policy making, then who will run the economy, or who will do the business? That's the first question. So we have to do the business and let others think of the policy, because your point will be taken care in the policy, because they are not practical, but you are practical, as Mr. Bonojit always told. The first you do yourself, then others will follow you. So that is the thing of a leader. Not you should not be a manager. You should be a leader in your aspects, in education or entrepreneurs, anything.
Thank you, sir. So now, if you can just. So the next question is to Bonojit sir. The question is a bit simple, but if looked hard, it is not that simple. How can we make the young generation, the upcoming generation, to love agriculture? Like, if I may rephrase it, what was your motivation to come to this sector? If you can share that thought, sir. Bonojit sir. I believe Bonojit sir, the Bonojit sir, if you are in the line, kindly unmute and talk. If you can answer the question. I believe, as said by himself, sir, the battery charge is over. So I believe he is arranging for another phone. So let us progress to some other questions. I would like to rephrase this question and ask to Pranjal Kumar Fukan sir. Sir, in your view, what is the scope of organic farming?
Very good question, and I was just supposed to speak on this. See, what I am doing now, let me tell you very clearly. I am planning to act for sectoral development based on artificial intelligence. One of the sector is agriculture university, agriculture sector, and in this regard, it is very good to know that Assam University Silchar. I am just planning to have a discussion with them so that they can have a like incubation type of thing for for developing this vertical agriculture vertical with the help of AI technologies, so that we can have some relevant industry-based research on this. So how to implement this development, which Mr. Banojit have told that Assam has slow development since first Green Revolution. So scopes are there, obviously scopes are there. Now we want to have this research done by these institutions of agriculture, Assam Agriculture University and all, and how to make it viable for commercialization through AI, on AI platform. So if anyone is intended for doing or planning for going for agriculture part, like I have one of my very good friend, Mr. Gunajit Brahma. He's also from IIM and he's running a very good business on this and supporting the people from Assam and Northeast. So you can just connect with me and let me try how to put your idea into practice related to industry aspirations through these verticals available with the universities in Assam or outside Assam. So scope is there. Now I want to take in different way. Means I am thinking out of box that instead of going in a very pocket wise, can we make it like a agriculture hub based on AI for Northeast? Some of the university have to come up, and we are trying our best to involve some government university first or colleges with the incubation coordinators, for which they will get the fund directly from Niti Aayog or NEPS or IESTS. That's a very good scheme, which I can disclose after some time to ICT so that they can have one more webinar or seminar on this to understand more on the particularly for the verticals. Now we are talking on, we should be talking on verticals, whereas agriculture is one of the verticals.
Thank you, sir. I have a question to you, sir. My personal view.
Yeah.
Sir, do you have any idea of enlightening some light on the place of hydroponic farming? I believe Bonojit sir can also answer, but as it's not there, I'd like you to answer.
Yes, hydroponic farming. Just morning, I was discussing with Mr. Parag Phukan from Guwahati. He is president of Guwahati Management Association, and he was also discussing with some entrepreneur on this particular field. He is doing a lot of things. So only question was related to that was the challenge is basically maintaining the pH level of water. For this, they are doing some simulations or iterations are going on in the particular area. If it is successful, I think it is a good prospect for Assam. It is prospects is there, but only thing how to come up with the challenge of the pH level. Because you have to maintain the pH level, otherwise this project is not successful.
Sir, one more question is from Gitanjali Kalida Chaudhary. Her question is, in our education system, emphasis is given on cognitive aspect, whereas effective and psychomotor domain are still still neglected.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is also one thing I left out. See, we understand this. We understand this. Our education system understand this. So now, very soon, you have seen in CBSE syllabus they have already changed. That concept of STEAM is coming up, which is called Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts and and Mathematics. In all domains of study, whether it is science or whether humanity, whether it is commerce or any art subject, all students have to go through STAM pattern, which very soon you also get the feeling. Like CBSE has also introduced a chapter on artificial intelligence from class 11 onwards. Okay, so there's no other way out. Innovation is the only key, and that's why all students have to go through this STEAM, which already they are in the developed countries in US and all for the last so many years. So you have seen those students are different. Their way of study is different. Their education is case-based studies, not like this book study. They do case-based studies. They understand the text, and their questions are based only on the case studies, so that they can have an introspection on those particular problems. And that's why the IIMs are far.
Sir, I believe you got disconnected, sir.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So am I clear? I think on this point. Hello.
Yes, sir. We missed your last line.
Oh, last line is like the all of now education system is also revamping. So we'll be mostly the government is going to emphasize on STEAM in all curriculums, and there will be more on case-based studies now, because it will be as per the industry perspective. So if you like no way out, you have to go for the case-based studies very soon in all your curriculums.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those answers. I believe most of our questions, not most, all of our questions have been answered.
Yes, sir. Bonajit present. He has come inside.
Okay.
So the question for him, let him answer the question.
Okay.
The question was that how he was inspired to come to this field and how can it be done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please. Please. Bonajit sir, please unmute and give your thoughts on your motivation towards coming to this sector.
Okay. Of course, there were two kinds of motivation. One was, of course, even though I was born and I grew up in Guwahati, and then after my school, I went to Delhi, and I've been away from Assam for like.
Sir, sorry for the interruption. Could you keep the mic a little bit near to your mouth?
Sure. Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello.
Perfect, sir. Let's continue.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So I was saying, like, even though I was born and brought up in Guwahati, but I was kind of always connected with rural areas, and I knew the state of agriculture in Assam, where it stands. Not just because I had connection with rural areas and villages, but also as a sociologist and a historian, I knew about it. And what was the immediate click was a very personal story. So when I used to work in Korea, my later research is on East Asia. My research is on transnational labor migration from South Asia to East Asia. When I used to work there, the university campus was on the outskirts of
Seoul city. And just behind my office, there was a small hill. And after lunch, I used to go for a walk with my colleagues to that hill. And beyond that hill was a green zone. No construction was allowed in that area. That was an urban agricultural area. So I would often interact with farmers there. And I would get like really fascinated. আমাৰ ইয়াতে কি হয় এতিয়া আমি ধান ৰুই আছো যদি 10 বিঘা মাটি তেনেহলে দেখিব যে 10 জন 15 জন মানুহে কাম কৰি আছে কোনোবাই কঠিয়া তুলি আছে কোনোবাই ভুই ৰুই আছে তাতে মই প্ৰথম যেতিয়া দেখো গৈ যে দুজন মানুহ এদিনত 80 পৰা 100 বিঘা মাটি ধান ৰুই দিয়ে and then of course because my research specialization is on East Asia I knew that in 1960 90% of Korea's population was engaged in agriculture and 10% was engaged in manufacturing and industry. By 1983, the table had turned. By 1983, 90% of the population was engaged in manufacturing and industry and service sector, and 10% was involved in agriculture. By middle of 1990s, only 1% of the population was involved with agriculture. But their productivity was so high that Korea is a self-sufficient country as far as essential food items are concerned. Of course, Korea apunar jehetu সমah বরফ থাকে obviously tate because of the climatic reason tate to মানে আম নহব কমলা নহব কিন্তু tate ji hoy they are self-sufficient. And then at a later stage I had a colleague from China who had come as a visiting faculty, and her PhD was on rural regeneration, a comparative study of rural regeneration in China and Brazil. Brazil MST boli andolon eta itiao choli ase. It's a movement of landless peasants. And the MST has revolutionized, wherever the movement is present, it has revolutionized rural socio-economic life. So when this Chinese colleague came, she asked me to collaborate with her on a program called Rural Regeneration in Asia. And I happily agreed to collaborate with her. And through that program, I had the opportunity of meeting farmers and agriculture-related researchers and professors from countries as diverse as Cuba, Spain, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Thailand, China, Korea, Indonesia. So that kind of opportunity and that opportunity to interact with farmers who are highly productive, that kind of introduced this desire. I started thinking, I'm talking about 2010. I started thinking, what would be the possibility of, engaging in high productivity farming in Assam? Will it be possible? I kept thinking about it for almost 8 years. And then in 2018, I thought I should just jump into it and let's see what happens. And my motivation was to create a kind of modern technology-inspired outlook among the youth in my village. So, of course, I mean, I am just an individual, so I could just think about, my village because I have access to, I know people here, I have access to land, I can lease land. So I thought I'll try out here. And then initially when I came, people were quite suspicious, thinking that what is his motivation? Why is he here? But luckily, 6 youth from my village, they said, okay, let's try. So we started like that. First year was a huge loss because of climate and everything. Even though I had thought about kind of, how to use technology in farming per se, I wasn't thinking about climate change and climate resilience. So that was the first year itself was a learning experience. Even though, I mean, it wasn't a loss in terms monetary loss, but we didn't make much profit. Then gradually I started exploring the government schemes, and I found that a lot of the new agricultural policies, at least a segment of it, is actually geared towards educated youth, even though there is a lot of bureaucratic red tapeism. So then I thought maybe I should start using solar energy for irrigation. And then I went to the district agriculture office. In Nalbari, I spoke to the executive engineer, and he was very helpful. He said, we have this scheme, and we are not able to find farmers who want to use solar energy. So I told him, why will farmer wants to use solar energy? Because anyway, farming has not been commercialized in Assam. So I installed a high capacity solar irrigation system. Then we started, from last year, we started using ultraviolet stabilized plastic mulching sheet, which controls weed, which increases photosynthesis for the plant, which in turn increases the yield. So that's been the journey so far.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those motivating things. I believe you are ready for some mentorship because many students are quite motivated, as I can see in the comments. They are posing some questions here and there. So I believe there is a spark that you have ignited today. I believe that spark will grow and produce more educated and agriculture entrepreneurs such as yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe there are no further questions. Just let me see. Okay, there are some questions. Okay. Banodit sir, can you elaborate on some bureaucratic red tapeism which may come as a demotivating factor?
Yeah, sure. Of course, agriculture department is like any other government department. So it's difficult to get things moved very easily. But for me, it was not very difficult because the agricultural officers were also surprised. Okay, here is the educated youth. So I could argue with them. For a simple farmer, the district agriculture office is like the king's palace. They don't dare to go there. Gator by a theory, as an educated youth, I don't have that fear. I can go and bang the table of the district officer and say that I know this is the policy. Why are you not releasing my file? So that is one aspect. Educated youth can actually deal with that. The other thing is that the policies that are framed by the government are not region-based and are not research-based. So when the government of India comes up with new policies to motivate or increase productivity, the research that is the basis of those new policies are mostly from the Green Revolution states, which are Haryana, Punjab, Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra, and so on and so forth. So the policies, there is a lacuna in the policy making. It's not region based. The requirement of Assam, the policy requirement of Assam is very different from policy requirement of Punjab. So there is no decentralization of policy making, which is a challenge. But these are large scale challenges. These are not challenges that is going to impact someone who wants to start agricultural entrepreneurship in a small scale. But then if somebody wants to start agricultural entrepreneurship at a grand scale, then those policies might come as a hindrance. And that there are misconceptions that you need a huge amount of land to be a successful agricultural entrepreneur. That's not the case. We have technologies available to increase yield that Assam has not seen in a small piece of land as well. So the policy lacunas won't be a hindrance to start entrepreneurship, agricultural entrepreneurship. And if, as I have already said, if more and more educated youths take up agricultural entrepreneurship, they have the skill set to negotiate with the district level bureaucracy, which might be impossible for a illiterate farmer from a village.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those your experiences and your knowledge. If time permits, let me pose the same question to Pranjal Phukan, sir. What might be those red tapeisms, or what might be those demotivating factors to an aspirant farmer, to an aspirant educated farmer? Pranjal, sir, I believe you're online. Please unmute yourself and talk.
Yes. As I told you, why I have said for the sectoral development now as a verticals which you have never thought of, because see, policies are being made based on some data, isn't it? Like our census. Unfortunately, we never thought of that COVID situation will come. So most of our data are basically complex data, which is already available, already happening in economic studies also. So due to which our policy framing is getting somehow delayed. It is also being told by our Honorable Finance Minister also, when they have released this Atmanirbhar scheme, very outrightly government has said that this is being released on the data which was available with them, which may not be relevant, which may not be useful, which may not be relevant to the situation, because the data are very complex. Most of data are outdated. So policy framing is happening in the same way, which Mr. Banojit has told very rightly. Now the time has come. What we can do is that based on our iterations happening on ground, now the policy makers have to decide, and they have to update on very larger scale on big data concept to make available all this data, so that the verticals which are going to be developed or are getting developed using the advanced technologies, the data has to be very correct and very relevant, or otherwise the report or result will be not supporting the entrepreneurs, which is also a very big challenge for the government now. So obviously policy is a big hindrance. I also agree to it. It is the only hindrance because policy is a hindrance. So people who are managing this policy also are hindrance because they don't know or they are not updated about these things which is happening at the top level. So they have to be educated first. So that's why we have one concept now that we are thinking of educating all the bank branch managers. We are planning to have a like a webinar session for the branch managers of the banks, plus all those in charges of the training centers, of the incubation centers, and also the government entrepreneurship development cells in universities and colleges. So first they have to understand what whosoever coming to them for the support, they should understand their language, their requirements as per the need of the hour. So in this regard, I want to actually request ICT Academy also if they can have like some coordination with the banks of Assam, so that these entrepreneurs are not getting any hindrances in getting loans as per the project schemes launched by the government, because they in their hand actually we have the outdated policies. They have not been refreshed or not been educated. They actually there is they are not to be blamed. Actually, they are not educated. They are just sitting on the table and with the old blue book they are working. So in that way, it is a two-way project, a two-way scheme. Entrepreneurs are educated, but the people who are going to support or have to support them should also be educated. So there should be a win-win situation, and this type of hindrances should not come into picture where entrepreneurs are getting demotivated, and finally they are also creating. They are basically going to create some problem. But before that, I want to say one more thing: that disruptive brains are the asset to the economy. Because due to the disruptive brain also, we are having good data available with us, which will be helpful in making our policies more relevant and more straightforward. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those words, for those comments on how to reduce activism and what the government proposes. So with you being in this platform, sir, I believe this is somewhat our fifth, maybe sixth webinar with ICT Academy. So what I have felt is like, yeah, as I have said in the beginning of this webinar, you are a powerhouse, you are a knowledge house. These new things we are learning about government regulations, some government decisions which are upcoming. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us. The next agenda, I believe, is feedback. The feedback by anyone. The agenda is. So if anyone specifically from the college itself will give feedback on today's webinar, it will be very appreciable. Anybody from Putimari College, principal sir, or any faculty would like to give his or her thoughts on this topic, on this discussion? Or if anybody else from outside are too encouraged to give his or her 2 words regarding this topic, 2 minutes you will be granted.
Hello.
You can unmute.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please come.
Okay. Myself Sujata Hatiburwa. I, on behalf of the Department of Political Science, and seriously want to, convey our gratitude to Dr. Pranjal Kumar Fukan sir, Banojit Hussain for interacting with us and give us your valuable time. And I hope our participants will be encouraged, especially our students will be encouraged through your words. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for those words. The last but not the least is a vote of thanks by the HOD, Sir Devananda Sharma, sir. If you are on the line, please unmute and talk. Sir, Devananda sir.
Hello. আমরা
sir, please talk.
শুনা পাইছো ওকে ওকে শুনিছে না
হয় শুনিছো স্যার কওক।
ঠিক আছে থেংক ইউ যে মই আমাৰ ভোট অফ থেংকছ অনুষ্ঠানটোৰ প্ৰথমে মই নাম ল'ব বিচাৰিছো বা ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছো আমাৰ মহাবিদ্যালয়ৰ অধ্যক্ষ ছাৰ ডক্টৰ নিত্যানন্দ কলিতা দেৱক আৰু এই লকডাউনৰ গোটেই সময়ছোৱাতে ৱেবিনাৰকে ধৰি এনে বহু পদক্ষেপ গ্ৰহণ কৰাত তেখেতে আমাক অনুপ্ৰেৰণা যোগাই আহিছে তেখেতৰ দিহা পৰামৰ্শ আৰু উৎসাহতেই আমাৰ শিক্ষকসকলে এনে ধৰণৰ বহু পদক্ষেপ গ্ৰহণ কৰিছে আজিও তেখেতে ৱেবিনাৰখন উদ্বোধন কৰি যথেষ্ট যোগাত্মক বক্তব্যৰে আমাক উৎসাহিত কৰিছে আৰু সেয়েহে তেখেতলৈ মই বিভাগৰ তৰফৰ পৰা পুনৰ ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছো আৰু আজিৰ এই সমল ব্যক্তি দুগৰাকী মাননীয় সমল ব্যক্তি দুগৰাকীৰ যি আলোচনা এই আলোচনাই আমাক কেনেধৰণে উপকৃত কৰিছে সেই সম্পৰ্কত মোৰ যিটো অনুভৱ সেইটো মই ক'ব বিচাৰিছো যে আজিৰ এই আলোচনাত সমল ব্যক্তি হিচাপে উপস্থিত থাকি ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীসকলে সন্মুখীন হোৱা আৰু ভৱিষ্যতে জীৱিকাৰ প্ৰতি আহিব পৰা যি সমস্যা এই সমস্যাসমূহ দিগদৰ্শন কৰি আৰু নতুন নতুন যিবিলাক এভিনিউ আমাৰ সন্মুখত আছে সেইবিলাক সম্পৰ্কে এটা দিগদৰ্শন কৰি যি সুন্দৰ আৰু গঠনমূলক আলোচনা আগবঢ়ালে ই আমাৰ লগতে অংশগ্ৰহণকাৰী সকলোকে যথেষ্ট উৎসাহিত কৰিছে আৰু নিশ্চয় কৰিব সেয়েহে তেখেতসকল ডক্টৰ প্ৰাঞ্জল কুমাৰ ফুকন আৰু বনজিৎ হুছেইন ডাঙৰীয়া দুয়োজনলৈ আমি কৃতজ্ঞতা জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ তাৰপিছতে ICT একাডেমীৰ ৰিলেশ্যনশ্বিপ মেনেজাৰ মিষ্টাৰ দীপ শেখৰলৈও মই ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ কাৰণ তেখেতৰ যি শৃংখলাবদ্ধ পৰিচালনা আৰু সহযোগ ইয়ে আমাকো সমৃদ্ধ হোৱাত যথেষ্ট সহায় কৰিছে আৰু আশা ৰাখিছোঁ ভৱিষ্যতে আমি তেখেতৰ পৰা এনেকুৱা সহায় সহযোগ পাম গতিকে তেখেতলৈ মই পুনৰবাৰ ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ সকলো অংশগ্ৰহণকাৰী যিসকল কলিগ আৰু যিসকল মৰমৰ ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰী যিসকলে ইয়াত অংশগ্ৰহণ কৰিছে এই সকলোকে মই ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ কাৰণ আপোনালোকৰ অংশগ্ৰহণে ইয়াক সফল কৰি তুলিছে শেষত বিভাগৰ সহকৰ্মী তথা ৱেবিনাৰখনৰ কো-কোঅৰ্ডিনেটৰ সুজাতা হাতীবৰুৱালৈ মই বিভাগৰ মুৰব্বী হিচাপে ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আচলতে এজন উদ্যমশীল কোঅৰ্ডিনেটৰ হিচাপে তেওঁই এই ৱেবিনাৰখন অৰ্গেনাইজ কৰাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত মুখ্য ভূমিকা পালন কৰিছে গতিকে কলেজখন বা আমাৰ বিভাগৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ যিখিনি কৰিছে তাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলৈও মই যথেষ্ট ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আৰু কৃতজ্ঞতা জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আৰু এইখিনি কৈয়ে মোৰ এই ভোট অফ থেংকছ বা শলাগৰ শৰাই অনুষ্ঠানটো সকলোৰে সুস্বাস্থ্য কামনা কৰি ইমানতেই সামৰিছোঁ ধন্যবাদ
ধন্যবাদ স্যার আপোনাৰ শলাগ শৰাইৰ কাৰণে ধন্যবাদ ICT একাডেমি সদায় কলেজৰ লগত আছে কলেজত যিকোনো সহায় সহযোগিতা লাগে আমি সদায় আগবঢ়াম অকল পুথিমাৰী কলেজে নহয় যিকোনো অনুষ্ঠান শিক্ষা অনুষ্ঠান হওক কলেজেছ হওক ইউনিভাৰ্চিটি হওক আমি সদায় আগবঢ়াওঁ আমাৰ সহায় সহযোগিতা যি ধৰণৰ আমি পাৰোঁ সব ধৰণৰ আমি দিওঁ সহায় সো শেষত দুই বাক্য মই ক'ব বিচাৰিছোঁ মোৰ ফালৰ পৰা এজ এ মডাৰেটৰ সেশন যিবিলাক আমি ৱেবিনাৰ হোষ্ট কৰিছোঁ বেসিক্যালি these are knowledge sharing sessions আৰু এইবিলাক আমি আমাৰ যিখিনি জ্ঞান অৰ্জন কৰিছে স্পিকাৰবোৰে সেই জ্ঞানখিনি আন বেলেগক বহুত কিজনক একেলগে at one place at one time সেই জ্ঞান যিখিনি অৰ্জন কৰিছে তেখেতে সেই জ্ঞানটো শ্বেয়াৰ কৰে যাতে আনৰো ভৱিষ্যতৰ কামত আহে সেই এক্সপেৰিয়েন্সেছ বিলাক সেই অনুভূতিবিলাক আৰু যিবোৰ ষ্টুডেণ্টে আজি এটেণ্ড কৰিছে যিবিলাক ষ্টুডেণ্টে আজি এই আলোচনা চক্ৰত আহিছে ৱেবিনাৰত আহিছে সিহঁতলৈ স্পেচিয়েল থেংকছ মোৰ ফালৰ পৰা এটা পাৰ্চনেল নোট থেংকছ কাৰণ ষ্টুডেণ্ট লাইফত ষ্টুডেণ্ট লাইফত এটা ইনহিবিশ্যন বুলি কওঁ লাজ চবৰে মনত থাকে সেই লাজ সেই এলাহ অতিক্ৰম কৰি আহি আজি ষ্টুডেণ্টবোৰে এই বস্তুখিনি অৰ্জন কৰিছে কাৰণ কিয় সেইটোৰ এনসাৰ সেইটোৰ লাভ আজি ইহঁতে হাতে হাতে নাপালেও আজিৰ পৰা কিছু সময় পিছত কিছু বছৰ পিছত ইহঁতে লাভখিনি দেখিব নিজৰ লাইফত দেখিব কাৰণ যেতিয়া এই পৰিস্থিতিৰ সন্মুখীন হ'ব কিবা কষ্টৰ সন্মুখীন হ'ব তেতিয়া এই বস্তু এই শিক্ষা দীক্ষাখিনি কামলৈ আহিব সো যিখিনি শিক্ষকে আজি আমাৰ সেশনটো চাইছে সেই শিক্ষকবোৰে শিক্ষক শিক্ষয়িত্ৰীবোৰে সেই জ্ঞানটো লৈ পালে নিজৰ ষ্টুডেণ্টসকলৈ নিজৰ বিদ্যাৰ্থীলৈ সেই জ্ঞানখিনি দিয়ক যাতে সিহঁতিও নিজৰ লাইফত আগবাঢ়ে সো এইখিনি কৈ আজিৰ এই ৱেবিনাৰটো মই অন্ত কৰিছো সো সকলোলৈ মই অলৰেডি কমেন্ট সেকশনত ফিডবেক লিংকটো দিছো সো ফিডবেক লিংকটো সবে কপি কৰি পেস্ট কৰক নিজৰ ব্ৰাউজাৰত নিজে নিজে ফিডবেক লিংকটো খোল খাব কাইন্ডলি সেই ফিডবেক লিংকটো সাবমিট কৰক আৰু এইখিনি কৈ মই পুথিমাৰী কলেজক ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছো আৰু আমাৰ আজি ৰিসোৰ্স পাৰসন ডক্টৰ প্ৰাঞ্জল কুমাৰ ফুকন আৰু বনজিৎ হুছেইন ছাৰৰ দুজনকে আজি ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰি মই এই আজি অনুষ্ঠানটো সামৰণি মাৰিছো ধন্যবাদ এটা সবে নিজে নিজে সেশনৰ পৰা ওলাই আহিলে হ'ল